Beloved Capricorn friends, with the South Node and Jupiter clearing out complex financial entanglements and shared debts in your 8th house, Pluto and the North Node in your 2nd house drive you to master specialized skills and build unshakable personal wealth. Sounds good, doesn't it? Let's find out more. This video forecast is for your sun, moon, or your rising sign. You can check out all 3 videos and they will tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. I'm Kesenya, my friends, and welcome to the Astro News and Weather Report for the first week of August 2026. This is tropical Vedic astrology, not sidereal astrology. Look it up if you need to know the difference. And yes, I am a real person, not AI. If you're new here and having trouble finding the piece about your particular sign, all you need to do is go to the timestamps or the chapters to take you directly to the information. But for those of you who enjoy learning about astrology and understanding the full gamut of what this week holds for you, then please enjoy listening to the introductory piece. Friends, something powerful is coming. On the 25th of July, the skies ignite because we're going to step into full moon lunar eclipse season. And this is one of the most electrically charged and transformative times in the entire astrological calendar each year, eclipse season. Eclipses don't just mark moments in time, they rewrite them. Old chapters close in our lives and new destinies stir when eclipse season comes around, and nothing looks quite the same ever again. If you want to understand exactly what this eclipse means for your sign and how to harness its energy rather than being swept away by it, come and join me inside my Patreon family, my friends. The link is in the description below. My Patreon family is where I will be breaking down every layer of this powerful lunation that we're stepping into as part of my beloved monthly series of lunations that I share at the Patreon family. This is the kind of cosmic event you want a guide for. Join me at the Patreon family. And now we're going to explore the wonders of this week's astrology, which happens to be the South Node, which we discussed last week, the South Node and the North Node moving into the Leo Aquarius axis and what that means for all signs. Check out last week's videos if you want to know more about that. But this week we're taking it a step further because when the South Node moves into Leo, it is going to join for the whole year Jupiter there. Jupiter, the sun will move out eventually at the end of the month, but Jupiter will be there for the whole year with the South Node. So the South Node's experience in the sign of Leo and Jupiter's experience in the sign of Leo will be colored by the fact that they're both together there. Similarly, the North Node has moved into Aquarius, the same sign that Pluto is currently transiting through. And so for the whole year, we're going to get Pluto North Node type experiences. And that's what I'm going to break down for all signs now. So when you listen to this description, know that these are the energies playing out for a whole year, not just the week ahead, but the whole year. A lot of people have been asking me for information about what these combined energies means, and it is potent, meaning we are going to have a potent year. Let's start with the South Node and Jupiter in the same sign. This acts as a spiritual stimulant, so to speak, because both the South Node and Jupiter are very spiritual energies. And so when they come together, what is enhanced, what is highlighted, what is given the big thumbs up is spirituality. So expect that we will start to receive strong spiritual insights and spiritual guidance as the main crux of this energy. So in this case, it's not about loss. The South Node, generally speaking, represents the loss of something, the draining of something out of life. But when it's with Jupiter, what happens is the enhancement of spirituality is received rather than drained. So that's actually a blessing that these two energies bring in. Another thing that we might find is quite pertinent is the desire to escape the ordinary everyday, to be in nature, to tap out of society. This is going to come in strong for all of humanity now. We're going to want to run away from things in a sense, but just be at peace. Because let's face it, the modern world's got so bizarre, so crazy, so mafia-ridden that tapping out is a way to keep our sanity. And this is going to be highlighted for the next year. The desire to tap out. And I encourage you to do so at every opportunity. Difficulties with mental illness can also come about because of Jupiter and its conjunction in the same sign for a year with the South Node. Not only mental illness, but addictions, depressions, and we may need extra help and protection if we suffer from these things ordinarily. So let's look out for one another. Let's care for one another. Let's show each other kindness and compassion, because this energy can exacerbate those tendencies, even if they lie latent within us. And there, but for the grace of God, go you and I. So let's look out for one another and support one another over the next year, especially those who are dealing with such battles. Now, past life memories are represented by the South Node and its transit. And of course, we may be finding with Jupiter expanding the South Node that past life memories are just on the surface of things. You know, we're just always getting those goosebump moments, those feelings of deja vu, those epiphanies that we know, like we've been here before somewhere, or I've had this conversation in another lifetime, in another dimension. Those kinds of things are very close to the surface for the whole year. You might be dreaming dreams and you're like, oh my God, you know, this is so real. You might be, you know, getting, like I said, those deja vu experiences that are, you know, giving you goosebumps kind of stuff. Now, one thing to watch out for is loss, because as I mentioned, the South Node drains things. And Jupiter with the South Node during this next year in the sign of Leo can cause loss through foolishness, like making a silly decision, having sort of an attitude of, it doesn't matter, I'm okay, I'm protected, the universe has got my back, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and then you like end up doling like you're Homer Simpson. Loss through foolishness, we have to guard against and act with a lot of level-headedness and a lot of groundedness. I'd also just suggest, oftentimes, the South Node can cause us to give things away. Like, oh, I don't need that anymore, you just have it. Or, I'm getting divorced and I just want out of this, so I'm going to just give you everything and walk away. And then down the track, we're like, damn it, I really wish I'd kept that, whatever it was I gave that person. Or, damn it, I really wish I'd got my fair share of the material goods, because now I'm really in the poo. So keep that in mind, that if you have knowledge of that this might be the way things could go, that you might lose things through a foolish act without protecting your own material existence, not being greedy, not being selfish, but just through being fair, then that is the way to go. Be fair to yourself as well as fair to others, and avoid that loss through foolishness that Jupiter South Node can sometimes bring. Now, let me just say, even though Jupiter is in Leo, which is a sign connected to the 5th house of gambling, even though Jupiter is the planet that rules gambling, it is not a good year for gambling, for stock market investments, for loaning money, or even long-distance travel, because the South Node just drains that prosperity and opportunity and luck out. So perhaps revisit your stock market investments and consider what can you get rid of, what's a good time to sell. You know, let's lighten our load with stock market investments. Let's avoid gambling. Let's avoid getting loans for money, and only travel long distance if we're going to do some sort of spiritual work or retreat or something with it, because that, in that case, long distance travel will be blessed, because the South Node will bring the positive energy in rather than the draining energy. Now, money that goes out this year doesn't tend to come back because of Jupiter with the South Node. So, you know, watch your investments, watch what you plow your money into. Do consider things seriously and perhaps tighten your belt in some areas so that you aren't left high and dry. Money that goes out doesn't come back. Programs of higher learning begun under this transit are also rarely finished, because remember, Jupiter is higher education, higher knowledge, and tied to the ninth house in that regard as well. So undertaking some level of study, you might find, oh, this is too much for me, or I'm not actually interested in this, or why did I start this? You know, it's gone nowhere, and it can cause you to sort of walk away before you get the benefit. South Node with Jupiter can do that. Payment of karmic debts can unfold with this transit this year, and I encourage you to do so. Like pay your karmic debts through generosity. Jupiter is generosity. South Node is karmic debt. You might be called upon to help others, to bless others, to support others. And I encourage you, if you feel that call in your heart to be a benefactor, to help lift somebody out of a difficult situation, do so, because it's highly likely, if your heart is drawing you to such things, to do such things, that it is a form of debt paying and karmic alleviation. So if you're feeling pulled that way, don't ignore it. This could be the divine calling you to pay your dues to a certain other person. Be wary, though, of being conned as well, South Node with Jupiter. Common sense can be sort of lacking when the South Node is with Jupiter. And so we need to be very careful about, making silly mistakes. Again, it's lost through foolishness. But in this case, being conned, being taken to the cleaners, I probably don't need to describe that any further than that. We just need to have our wits about us this year. Now, on rare occasions, sometimes when the South Node and Jupiter are together in the same sign, good karma is returned in a windfall. And on that topic, keep in mind that Leo is connected to fifth house energy. Fifth house in Vedic astrology represents good karma from past lifetimes. So that association might actually be a source of protection for many of us over the coming year. And in fact, we may just see with the South Node representing our past life karma and Jupiter being the planet of good karma, in Leo, the sign connected to the fifth house of good karma, it could just be more likely than usual that we may receive a windfall, a blessing, an opportunity that is a good karmic return for the good deeds we've done in past lifetimes. If indeed we have done good deeds in past lifetimes, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this has that karma coming to them. On another topic, and we'll wrap up our South Node Jupiter analysis with this, it is a good time for weight loss. Good news. South Node with the planet of fat. Woo! Bring it on. I'm ready. We might find that it's easier to lose weight this year. What a nice high note to go out on with the Jupiter South Node conjunction for the next year, because Jupiter rules to bulge in the middle, to have a round spare tire, to be a little bit on the obese side. And the South Node here just drains that from us. Yay! Bring it on, especially those of you, and we'll talk about this as our reading unfolds, but especially for those of you who are looking at this happening in their first house or their sixth house. Leo risings, I'm looking right at you, and Pisces risings, you as well. Oh, they're both me. Lucky. Also, Jupiter with the South Node makes it a great year, everyone, to do a liver cleanse, to clean out your liver and support your liver. So if you want to do a liver detox, now's the time. Let's get going and let's look after the bodily organs related to Jupiter in that regard. Now let's take a look at the North Node with Pluto. What might this bring? Well, this is quite an interesting one. Pluto brings deep, intense energy into our system and experiences when the North Node joins him down here, as you can see in the sign of Aquarius. Let me just put that round where it probably is more visible for people watching. So Jupiter and, so here's the Pluto, here is the North Node. Forget Jupiter, North Node and Pluto. More energy in our system, more energy in our experiences. Things are amped up because Pluto empowers whatever it touches, and the North Node's hungry for more. It's hungry for more Pluto this year. It's hungry for more Aquarius energy this year, and Pluto is already amplifying the Aquarian tendencies. So, woof, it is going to be big. Fireworks in the realm of Aquarius. Some people might experience an enhancement of personal power because of this, and this is likely to be the case mostly for Aquarius rising people or for Taurus rising people where the Aquarian energy is sitting right on the midheaven. Quite exciting. Some people might experience more unusual physical strength. Some people might experience more unusual physical strength this year because of this energy. And again, we're likely to see that in the lives of Aquarian rising sun or moon people and Virgo sun and moon people and rising people, because Aquarius falls in their 6th house of health and well-being. So physical strength for those two signs might be on the cards in some capacity. But for everybody this year, we may notice that our psychic powers increase, our ability to tune into other dimensions, to get to the bottom of things, to see through the veil, to be able to understand what's really going on at depth, just like that deeply penetrating Pluto power taken to the max. So, dreams might be very real now. You might find that you can just understand exactly what a person's saying when they're not really even saying it. There's this inner deep knowing and awareness that Pluto brings when it's amplified by the North Node here. Now, you can influence, my beautiful friends out there in YouTube land, large numbers of people through a major research project or some sort of similar work this year. So if you've always dreamed of doing like a thesis in something or exploring astrology in depth or really diving deep, this is the year. Because Aquarius is this, it's highly genius knowledge. And Pluto is to go deep with something, and the North Node is hungry for more of that. So really diving deep. We can see a lot of scientific advancements because of this combined energy. We might see a lot of inventions. We might see a lot of progression through people doing deep research that comes out of this year. Your Dharma and life purpose might be revealed. This is one of the good things that the North Node with Pluto can absolutely do. It can really highlight what you're here as a soul to live, to experience, to sink your teeth into, so to speak. And you might know what that is as I'm talking about this now, or you might not know what it is, but this year is likely to either take you deeper into your purpose if you know what it is, or to give you an epiphany, an aha moment about this is me, this is what I'm here to do, this is my calling. Go for it. In fact, Pluto with the North Node can see us being given by the divine some sort of important work that the universe wants us to accomplish. It could be a book that needs to be written. It could be using your voice to speak out about something that needs speaking out about. It might be helping or healing somebody that needs help and healing. Some sort of important work is going to be given to you by the divine this year, and you'll know it when it arrives. Not only that, but the North Node with Pluto can give significant insight into our life. Remember, Pluto is quite a psychological planet, and when we have the North Node expanding the energy of Pluto here in the sign of Aquarius, things make sense. Things make sense to us. The penny drops, and we start to understand why we're wired the way we are. That helps if you're studying astrology too. That's one of the big epiphanies astrology can give you, is understanding why you've lived the life you've lived or why things have gone the way they have for you. The penny drop moment comes with the North Node and Pluto. It's a good transit for strengthening yourself physically, psychologically, mentally, and in all ways. It brings great enhancement. Now, things like yoga, qigong, other spiritual practices, sound healing, spiritual dance, all those sorts of things are very beneficial. They are really, really enhanced. In fact, we'll be doing a lot of those on the retreats that I'll be conducting over the coming couple of years, because everything is energy. Astrology is energy. We are recipients of that energy. We are vessels of that energy. And of course, things like yoga, spiritual dance, shamanic practices, etc., are all energetic work. And so that's why I mentioned I'll be doing a lot of that on the retreats that I'll be conducting in the coming year. But it's good for you to get involved with them as well. Get your teeth sunk into some energetic work. You will be blessed, and it will, go stronger with you under this influence of Pluto and the North Node. Because this combination of energy really assists in the accumulation of chi, vital forces, and kundalini. So bring it. Now, naturally, friends, when we're talking about the great god of the underworld, we're talking about Pluto, who is the original god of great wealth. Not just wealth, that's Jupiter. Pluto is the god of great wealth. When we're talking about this, we know that there's going to be an intensification of desire for wealth or power. This may play out on a localized level or a personal level, but it can also be happening on a very big global level. And indeed, we see that all the time, don't we? But just recognize that this energy could amp it up more so than usual this year. Okay, forewarned, forearmed on that. And look, there's nothing wrong with the desire for wealth and power as long as you don't compromise your karma in getting it and going for it. So do keep your karma clean, my friends, or you're going to cop it in other lifetimes. When I stop and think about what those crazy Epstein listers have done, I'm like, do they not consider that there is more to this life than meets the eye? I guess they don't, or else why would you do that horrible stuff? I'm like, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes for quids with the karma they've created and what they're going to experience in the coming lifetimes and other dimensions. Nasty stuff. Friends, be aware of the buildup also of toxins in your body due to chemicals, radiation, or poisons, because the North Node and the South Node, for that matter, are toxic points in the chart. When I say that, I mean that they bring in toxins if we're not careful. Toxic people, toxic experiences, literal toxins. And so with Pluto intensifying everything it touches and Jupiter expanding everything it touches here, just be conscious of, the food that you eat, the environments that you're in, measure the EMF radiation and try to protect yourself as best you can from environmental toxins that are out there, my dear friends. Also, sometimes when Pluto is with the North Node, it can trigger cellular and hormonal changes. That happens more on a personal level, and it may be affecting Aquarius risings or Virgo risings or Sun and Moon of each of those, because they're happening in the houses of the body and wellness. But we should all be careful and observe how our hormones are behaving and if we need any support or help in that regard. So that's our little analysis of these two energies and how they may be playing out for us. Let's have a look at what they're doing as they're sitting in opposition to each other on this axis. When we have these two power players, Pluto and Jupiter, gods of wealth, sitting directly across from each other in opposition like this with the North and the South Node, it's a high voltage axis, naturally. So is it any wonder everybody's been asking me about this energy? It's like spiritual retreat and karmic clearance, which is South Node and Jupiter, versus raw physical transformation and massive collective power. What do you do with this kind of volatile, incredible energy? Now, because oppositions, they always force a resolution in astrology, these two dynamics, they're going to fight for dominance. And we're going to feel this push-pull. It's like a seesaw or a teeter-totter, whatever you want to call it, pushing and pulling, trying to find equilibrium until eventually the push-pull stops and we reach some sort of cohesion with these two energies, a balance, a middle ground with these two energies. So let's take a look at how these two opposing forces will play out literally and practically in concrete terms. Well, let's talk about the physical, the energy cleansing that we're going to want to need versus the toxic overload. So there's a clash here. South Node Jupiter pushes for that liver cleanse we talked about, that weight loss I mentioned, and releasing accumulated physical baggage, while the North Node and Pluto brings this intense hormonal cellular changes, kundalini activation, and extreme vulnerability to chemical or environmental toxins. How do we balance this out? Well, the lived outcome of this is that your physical system is going through an intense purge, friends, this next year. It's going through a big upgrade. Our whole physical body is going through an upgrade and a cleanse and a redefining. Now, keep that in mind and be kind to your body, support your body, love your body as much as possible in the physical. If you try to force heavy physical training or high intensity living without detoxifying your body, cleansing your body, the body will crash or build up systemic toxins in it that then damage you. Keep this in mind. The secret to physical health this year is combining active Kundalini Chai energy work, or Chi, not Chai, energy work, which with the gentle liver supportive cleansing and body cleansing and renewing of the South Node in Jupiter. We are clearing actually old physical karma, my friends, to make room for a higher voltage of vital energy that wants to come in. And certainly the more we head towards 2032, where we are destined to move through a high energetic sheet in the solar system, the more we're going to want our bodies to be in peak condition to receive the blessing of that energy when it comes. Something I'll probably talk to closer to the time if you tune into this channel. So that's the physical side of this opposition. What about the material side? Financial leakage versus a drive for power. Jupiter financial leakage, drive for power, Pluto North Node. So there's a clash here again of oppositions that needs to be balanced and integrated. South Node Jupiter brings financial vulnerability, money flowing out that doesn't return, bad investments, or getting conned through lack of practical common sense. Meanwhile, the North Node Pluto sparks an intense, almost magnetic drive for wealth, leverage, and personal strength. What is the lived outcome with these two on that seesaw? Well, don't attempt traditional speculation, my friends. Don't look to getting loans in the next year. Try and avoid high-risk gambling to build your power. That's not where it lies in the year ahead. Trying to make a quick buck or throwing money at flashy projects will lead to sudden leaks of energy here, of material energy. Instead, friends, your true path to wealth and influence this year comes through deeply researching strategies for wealth creation, not just on a whim, knowing where you're going, knowing what the plan is, really going deep with what you're going to put your money into, creating specialized knowledge, creating major projects. This is North Node Pluto energy. Income follows mastery and purpose this year, not market speculation. So keep that in mind if you want to make your money grow. Now, what else with this wonderful axis that's playing out? Solitude versus society. This is a big one. The urge to escape versus the mass call to some divine purpose. And there's a clash here as well. Part of you is desperately going to want to tap out, to hide in nature, to escape the everyday grind, which we talked about earlier, and even to drift into past life memories or spiritual reflection because of South Node Jupiter. But the world at the same time is simultaneously dropping a heavy, unavoidable life purpose, dharma, and meaning right into your lap that's going to want you to reach large numbers of people with the message or the work. This is North Node Pluto. So how do we combine this too? This desire to tap out with the need to put it out there. There's a lived outcome here as well. You can't completely retreat this year, nor can you burn yourself out in the public eye. There's got to be a balance. If you try to run away, or, go to your cave on a permanent basis, the universe is going to drag you back with heavy responsibilities. And if you stay in the rat race 24/7, mental exhaustion and depression will take over. So what do? You've got to structure your life like a battery. Use total isolation and nature as your charging station this year. Get refreshed, get renewed, and then go back into it. So you have the psychological muscle to step into mass influence and lead major work. Balance that contradictory energy that's playing out this year. We also have an energy of higher learning versus deep investigation. And the clash here with this is broad academic or traditional programs of higher learning. South Node Jupiter tend to go unfinished, as I said. You'll drift off course or you'll suffer from a lack of grounded focus. But by comparison, there's this deep penetrating research projects that North Node Pluto is drawing you to. Psychic inquiry and concentrated focus. Those things are the things that yield massive personal power and breakthrough type insights. So what do we do? What's the lived outcome? How do we balance this seesaw? Well, we need to abandon this year shallow or overly broad study tracks. This is not the year for generic degrees or surface level courses. It's about focusing our intellect into some sort of really like surgical, high impact research or transformational project. And that will allow us to increase our insight and our psychic perception in order to solve real world problems. And finally, my friends, we have a clash of karmic debts and power dynamics going on. Karmic debt, with the South Node Jupiter, power dynamics, North Node Pluto, generosity versus personal authority. So there's a clash here again. South Node Jupiter requires you to pay off karmic debts through some sort of selfless generosity this year and protecting of the vulnerable and letting go of your expectations. Very important if you want to get through this year with your mental health in order. The North Node Pluto brings an enhancement of personal power, unusual strength, and an intense magnetism that can influence the masses. So this is the clash here. How do we live this? How do we balance the seesaw? So power used for selfish ego trips will instantly trigger financial or spiritual loss in your life. This is a real, write this up and put it on your mirror so you're reminded every day, am I doing this for my own self-aggrandizement, or is this for the greater good? The universe is actually granting everybody a raw, intense level of personal power and influence this year. North Node Pluto. Some more than others, but to a degree we're all going to experience it. But only on the condition that you use it to serve others, help others, pay back spiritual debts, and act with total nobility. That is the key. Humility is the safety harness this year for Jupiter, South Node, Pluto, North Node. If you want to handle this high voltage Pluto energy that's coming in, humility all the way, friends. Keep it in mind. And now let's go to our all signs breakdown for your sign. Well, my beloved Capricorn friends, we need to watch out for psychological stress with this axis of money being amplified over the coming year. What does it mean? It means psychological stress and boundary leaks that drain your energy and your bank account. Your own earned money is your clean, protected resource right now. Treat it that way. Look after your budget. It's very important with this energy that's unfolding for the whole year ahead. There's a trap to avoid here, and that is relying on other people's money, relying on an inheritance or loans to get by. This is not the year for that. Financial dependence of any kind is going to backfire in your life now, Capricorn. It's going to leave you feeling powerless and depleted. Your independence is everything. If you're the kind of person who, and I can't imagine a Capricorn person who doesn't, care about having their own financial resources. If you haven't built your own financial resources, things could unravel very swiftly for you. So I do hope that if you've been doing this, and if not, it's not too late. Get into it, get a job, develop some business, do whatever you need to, invest in whatever you can to allow your own nest egg to grow for you. It's very, very important this year. In fact, your big mission, Capricorn, is to build your own wealth over the coming year. Use your own skills. Use your own genuine material sovereignty. It's not about being selfish materially and financially. It's about building safety and security in the material realm for you. It's about standing on your own financial feet fully and completely. This is the year for doing that. You know what? it's your superpower, Capricorn. You can spot financial manipulation instantly with the energy that's unfolding this year. You can evaluate real value with razor precision, and you can build financial systems that are built to last, that will bless you long into the future. Fantastic. Do it. Don't lean on others financially this year. This is the big, neon sign flashing in your eyes right now. Also, don't waste money on shared speculative investments, complex debt arrangements, or anything involving unvetted inheritances or trust-based financial agreements. Tread really carefully with any of those combined resource energies. On that topic, I'd also say tread really carefully with your sexual relationships as well, 8th house stuff, because there's a loss of desire for sex that's happening here, and a desire for more autonomy and self-reliance in the physical in that regard as well. Does that mean divorce? It can sometimes. Does that mean if you're single that you're not going to partner and have physical relationships this year? Not necessarily, but really it's about being okay on your own, being self-sufficient and self-reliant unto yourself in the material arena as well as the sexual arena as well. There's a deep trust trap that is unfolding for you this year, and that has to do with getting conned. I hate to say it, but there is the potential, if you're not awake and aware, of getting conned in inheritance, in tax, in joint financial arrangements because you trusted the wrong person. Really, it's about doing your due diligence always this year. Can you trust this collaboration? Can you trust this person sexually or materially? Is it safe? This is the trap. You call it a trap or call it a requirement to step up and do your due diligence. Now, energy always shows up in the body. And this year, heavy emotional states and low mood might show up in the body, especially when you're still tangled up in complicated shared financial obligations that are draining you. Be aware that this might be the case. And if you find yourself in those circumstances, have strategies to support your emotional mood, to rest, to relax, to walk away from challenging, complex red tape to allow your body to heal. There's a spiritual wake-up call with this financial axis as well, would you believe it? Past life trauma around shared power and money and trust is surfacing now. If you've put all your eggs in the one basket and just trusted your partner, business partner, marriage partner, or whatever to do all the providing while you sit back and twiddle your thumbs, there's trauma around that is going to come up for evaluation, such as all of a sudden you find yourself alone in life. How are you going to survive? You've got no nest egg built. There's trauma there. The trauma could come up. This is the spiritual wake-up call. It's deep material energy that's asking to be healed now, not buried. Now, I've given you one scenario. There are a million different scenarios for how some sort of past life material, shared power, money, and trust trauma is going to come to the surface, and it's different for everybody. Be aware that it can, and heal it when it rises. Remember, the 8th house has to do with healing trauma as well as inflicting trauma. So do the, regression work, do the dance therapy, music therapy, art therapy, whatever, kinds of therapy is required to heal any trauma around material resources and shared money. And sexuality too, I would add for that as well. Now, Capricorn, there's an inner pull happening, and you're going to feel it strongly as this year progresses. There's a real desire to cut complicated financial ties out of your life, to forgive old money debts, to step completely away from psychological power struggles. Clear your life of that stuff. Life will lighten up and feel better if you can do this. There's a message that your body's giving you as well this year, and that is that there's a deep cleanse required, but it's not a physical cleanse. It's not a liver detox. It is a deep subconscious cleanse, emotionally and energetically. Clear out the old stuff. How do we do this? We do the trauma therapy. We get psychological counseling where required. We do a past life regression. We do energy clearing, maybe get a sound bowl treatment or come to a retreat with myself and my husband and focus on energy change and energy shifting that is so necessary at this time in your life. That's the message your body has for you. It needs to happen. My beautiful friends, my husband and I, David Warner Matheson, and I are planning an incredible Astro Escape experience, and I know you're going to want to be part of it. Picture this, friends. Mornings of spiritual practice and nature walks, sound baths to settle the nervous system, afternoons diving into the mythology and the history behind the zodiac, doing astrology workshops with kindred spirits, evenings under a truly dark sky with professional stargazing, delicious healthy food, good company, a beautiful remote setting where the sky actually shows up for you. Get on the list to be the first to know about the dates, the location, and the booking details because spots are going to be limited and I don't want you to miss out. Just head to the link in the description below and register your interest.